Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys, and thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate your support. If you'd like to support the channel, down in the description, you'll find some ways to do so. This is a great replay here. I've got two. I've got Tears from Joe, and what is that, 18XV3Eyes? Yeah, 18, underscore 18 from Reddit. 18's in his T50/51, and we have Tears here in his T100. I have both replays for you. We're going to look at both. I like these kind of replays. There's two things going on here that I want to talk about. Number one is this is good for LT14 for the Object 260, which is spot for 4,500 damage. They do it with some teamwork, which is why I believe Tears sent it to me. But more importantly, I think for you guys that are learning is you are going to see some high-level game reaction flow and, dare I say, flex. They are going to flex all over the map. They're going to meta flex. I'm going to use all those words today. Top tier platoon. This is a good deal. The question is not whether you get lucky, it's what you do with it. That's what I always say. It's what I always say. So what do they do with it? They have spawned here into the south. They are going towards the north spawn. And the third kind of tertiary thing about this replay, I'll just go ahead and get started here and let them go. Let these masters get to work, is that when I get replays from good players, really any of you, but especially good players, where I learn something, where I see somebody do something I would not have done. And this is not necessarily the position I would have gone to. I'd have gone to the opposite side of the map. But let's watch Tears work from Clan Yujo. Gets into this bush and kind of locks down this approach in this flat marshy area. You can see that 18 has posted up at the bottom of the town, and he is looking to farm anybody who might come through this marshy area here. And additionally, what Tears is able to do is not only does he lock down the approach over here, he starts seeing guys doing this, fighting on the edge of town. He's going to teach me something else here pretty quickly. There's the Centurion. They take a few pot shots at him. I don't think the guy actually loses any hit points, but he knows, and the Centurion probably knows, that he's spotted. He's going to go hide behind this ship in the sand. Why does Wargaming love ships on ground? I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But anyway, I suppose it is interesting terrain. That may be it. Maybe those are the ship models that they decided not to use, and that's where they throw them away. Is that how it works on the internet? I think it is. So they've got, the enemy team has quite a few posted up down here in the bottom of the town. That's a pretty standard place to go. And you'll see now Tears is going to move. And this is what I was talking about earlier. A, learning that, okay, this may be viable out here. And B, which I kind of knew that this was here, but watch him just tunnel through this. Now, one of the reasons he can do this is the LT-100, as maligned as it is a very low-slung tank and can sneak through terrain. Like, look at this. He just drove right up on this Centurion. And there's 1,494. So remember, he needs 4,500. Loses sight of him and moves a little bit more forward there. And lo and behold, there is the Centurion one. And he sees him. He just drives right up on that guy. And he's just waiting for somebody to finally get reloaded and get a shot. He sees a T-30. No sense looking at the Centurion. Somebody will kill him eventually. He does have to keep an eye on him in case for some reason he just drives out into the open and sees or gets close enough to Tears, but he's got this T-30 lit, probably hoping maybe the artillery that's sitting together down there in the south might get some shots at it. And you can see then that 18 is moving up in his T-50/51. I don't know if they have voice comms. I assume they do, because they seem to be very well coordinated. You don't necessarily need that as a platoon. If you're good players, you kind of understand what each other are doing anyway, at least as far as the meta flex goes. That's the word, meta flex. And they jump all over the Centurion. Now, no spotting out of that, but he does get a little bit here. Actually, he does not. It looks like several people see the T-30, so he's getting no spotting out of that. But they are removing the T-30 out of the game. Scorpion G makes his presence known up there in the north. And you'll see that Tears moves up a little bit, keeps the T-30 lit. And we'll see if maybe he gets there and somebody shoots in there. There's one. That's worth some points. There's another. That sort of makes me wonder if they were talking and 18 said, hey, I'm going to move back where I can't see this guy anymore. Whether it was by happenstance or by design, he ends up with 2,225, and he's basically, that's perfectly halfway there, isn't it? 2,225 out of the 4,500 he needs. Look at that. Look at that numerology, math in public. Scorpion G is moving. He sneaks up underneath him. Again, low slung tanks are able to do things like this. Scorpion G is up here. We'll see Tears. I thought he might come around the corner and take a poke at him, but he decides to just not give the guy a chance at all to shoot him. Not to mention, if he gets lit here, he's going to take aggro from down below. So there's no reason to get lit on this side. The Count Onin does drive up there, but brings the Scorpion G down to a one-shot. So Tears is going to come around. The guy is fired. He's doomed. Down he goes. And he immediately hooks left. I might have hid behind the rock, but he's going to move up here. And finds an Artie. Thank you, Artie. Hello. Took a little shot, and we miss, unfortunately. The good news, though, is that I get the spotting, or he gets the spotting right there. So really, maybe he didn't want to shoot to begin with. 2,635. And now we can start working around the edge. And this looks like his team has it well in hand, but the enemy team's going to make a comeback because the city starts to get hammered pretty hard. They start to lose that fight in there. A lot of Tears' team is on the edges, to include him and 18. He finds the Conway, hits him, and then keeps on trucking because the Conway's going to see him. Gets up here, and thank goodness there's nobody up here. Otherwise, that would have been a little bit embarrassing. Takes a quick auto-aim and shot at the Conway, but doesn't get anything out of him. The Conway runs into the town. So we'll continue to work around. You'll notice that he's just not sitting in a bush. He's not sniping into the city all day, which is something that might happen if you went up to the west side right there. Being very active, the Count Onin has decided to hitch his wagon to the platoon's horse and is getting drug along to damage as well. And now Tears is going to start doing some of that late game scouting stuff, moving up, trying to find guys. There's a T10. The other thing I like about this is he's taking shots where they're available. I mean, really, at the end of the day, he's looking for a win. He'd love to get LT14. It looks like they're working hard to do so, but he is also making sure that they win. He takes a shot at the Conqueror. Watch this. He comes uphill. That's very important right there. What happened? Oh, that was a nice pause on the shot. What happened there is he went up the hill. His elevation, because that hill is pretty steep, his elevation was not enough to keep the gun on the Conqueror, so he backed down so that he had a line of sight on the guy and takes him down. Nice dodge right there as well. That was fantastic. So this is the point where the end game stuff in light tanks, both of them have shown a nice knowledge of the map, a good ability to move it around without losing hit points, and to take tanks out as they find them. And now we're going to watch them put on a clinic of tracking down the last few remnants. Now the RHM is way down in the south. This is interesting how this happens. He comes over here. I know this bush is here. This is one I use quite a bit. This seems to be his technique. Actually, he came up and over. I don't know if I'd have gone that far over, because if they were in the bush, the opposite bush on that other ridge, they'd have had a shot there. But he does do a lot of turning around and backing into spots so he can make a runner and get out of there. There's the T10, who appears to be spotted by his platoon mate or the Count Onin up there on the hill and not by him. So T10's moving around. And now we're going to kind of lose contact with these guys. They do have an RHM. The Leopard can see quite far away as well. Conway has a nice gun. The T10 has an okay gun as far as accuracy goes. Probably one of the better ones for a Russian heavy anyway. So now we've got to be very careful. There's only 4 of us. The Count Onin, the T100, the 51, and at least a semi-intelligent Batchat, because he's actually following and getting out of the way. So good job. That's a mobile artillery, so it's a little easier to do that kind of gameplay in that particular one, but at least he's actually even got the idea of moving around. And now we're just sort of trying to find out where they are. He swings around here. He doesn't commit to the field, just takes a quick look. Do I get lit? Do I see someone? What kind of SA can I build from that? Nothing happens, so he swings around, heads back into this way, and you'll notice that 18 is following up where his teammate is. At 2,635, it looks like maybe getting the experience or the spotting is going to be a little bit difficult. I saw the RHM over on that side, which means at least him and maybe some others are there. It was a little bit interesting to me that you pushed that far into the bushes and then turned around. So I don't know if you didn't notice, or maybe you were just taking a quick look. There may have been a discussion between you and 18, but there they go. So it looks like the TVP and the T100 are both moving back. So both at 100% hit points. At this point, the hit points that they both have are an asset. All right, so hit points at this point in the game can be traded, provided it is a good trade in order to secure the win. So he comes around this way, looking for somebody maybe in the corner, and unfortunately finds the Leopard, who puts a shot on him. T10, whoa, and there's another shot from the RHM, who is shooting HE. And that is why, my friends, I rarely use HE. It lets me down. For those of you who also feel that way, you might be pretty happy that there's an HE rebalance coming, at which point it would have been more damage, but you're not going to get the pen. So, you know, it's a bit of a trade-off. Looks like Tears is running away. Again, that thing is all in, what? Not super test, but sandbox. So who knows if that's really going to happen. Takes a shot in the T10, looks for the reload. T10 decides to try to take you down, and boom, down he goes. You also notice that Tears, so far, at least I haven't noticed he has, fired one, but it looks like he's not fired a single gold round. That's one thing you can probably get away with fairly easily in a tier 10 battle where you're the top tier 10. Everything else is relatively soft. He really hasn't run into the 705 or the JT or anything that required a 2. So he's going to come around this way. Avoids going on the cap. I almost mentioned it earlier. I don't know if I would have driven across the cap, but sort of let him know you were there. And maybe that was what you wanted to do to try to draw them to you. But all of a sudden they've got an advantage. We get the 50-51. The artillery is alive. The Canonin has bit the dust somewhere along the way. But the Leopard's got pretty good view range. And the Conway has a nice reload and pretty fast firing. A decent gun. So it is certainly not a win at this point, but it is much closer than it was. And they've just done a great job of showing you moving around the map, using terrain, using each other as teammates to try to find these guys. And the nice thing with working with the 50-51 is a very accurate gun, very quick. Is it intra clip? Between shots within a clip. Reload, so there's a huge burst potential out of the T50-51 and is very accurate as well. Notice that he's following Tears at this point, trying to get into position. Tears takes a quick look. There's that backwards maneuver I was talking about. The reason he does that is he can get away quickly, as opposed to backing out of it. He may eat 2 shots backing out, or probably only eat 1 by going forward. Sneaks into this little bush, and it's pretty apparent where they probably are. More than likely, they've turtled up on a hill somewhere, and that is the most likely hill there in the south. It's near their cap, or sorry, near his cap actually, not near their cap. Of course, they can't get to the one near their cap because they know that Tears and 18 and the Artie are somewhere near there. He's going to move forward. Watch this. So that's really important right there. His approach is behind the bushes until the very last possible moment, so that he doesn't break out of them until right there, about as close as he can get to those guys. And somewhere in here he gets spotted. Yep. Does a little wiggle, a little jiggle, try to make it hard to hit him if somebody's giving it a shot or trying to get a shot on him. And of course they know he's coming, so they figure he's probably going to show up here somewhere. Watch him cut right. Notice how he cuts right to get into a bit of flatter ground right there, as opposed to simply coming up this very high angle where he's probably not going to get a shot very early and will easily get shot in the side. He cuts right ever so slightly, comes up and over, and oops, was not able to avoid that shot. Wham! The artillery has stunned him. Now this is very important. He's stunned. The guy still hasn't fixed his stun, and the deal here is the Conway has a relatively fast reload, but when it's stunned, it's much worse, and you can get inside his reload, and unfortunately, that is a big bummer. He bounces, comes around, and he's still stunned. Doesn't quite get it. Oh, and down he goes. He's able to take him down. The 18 moves in, puts a shot on the Leopard. Leopard's now moving up. You'll see that Tears hides. He's waiting for the T50-51 to move into position because he certainly doesn't want to get one shot, which he can be right now. If the Leopard had any kind of brains, he'd come right up and over and tried to take out the T100, but he doesn't. He takes a peek down at the 50-51. Very nice right there. Tears comes down, auto-locks him, takes a shot, and then cuts right and immediately makes any return fire very difficult. Even though they were in great position right there, there's no reason to give him a shot that you don't necessarily have to give him, especially if that shot is one that will take you out of the game. And the good news is I believe he lit him on fire for another 208, and down goes the Leopard one. So we've got 4 kills for 18, 5 kills for Tears, 4,713 spotting. I believe it's actually 5,000 when you look at the stats. There's some hidden spotting in there. 1,845 damage. You might go, well, that's not very much damage, but look at the assist in there. Plus, you got the mission done, LT-14 for the Object 260. And a great example, and I tried to cover most of it as we went by, but there's a few more nuances there, I'm sure, as you watch it. Just late game, very, very good late game gameplay, meta flexing all over the map, and tracking down the last few survivors and taking a losing situation, turning it into a winning, and eventually into a win. So nice job, guys. Thanks for sending that in, Tears. I loved it. We're going to take a quick look now at 18's replay and see how he kind of followed up Tears and where he went. Here's 18 in his 50-51. They decided to do this as a team, and they talked about, all right, let's try to do this mission. And that is something you can do in platoons. A lot of the later missions, you really need to do them on purpose, right? You kind of got to think about, what tank do I need to use? Can I use a platoon to do it? How do I help myself do these missions a little bit better? And this is definitely one of those ones, a spotting mission, where if you platoon and talk about it and have the right setup, you can actually help yourself out quite a bit. So you'll see that he posts up here. You might say, well, Guido, wouldn't you use a big high alpha TD so you can hide in a bush and snipe the things that the scout spots? Well, maybe, but this actually is a great choice. Why? Because it's mobile, because it can get around, because late game it can travel with the light tank and get into places. Oh man, he missed all three of those. I didn't realize he'd fired at him. Get into places that you may not otherwise be able to get into. And look at that, all 4 shots and not one. He's probably just cursing right there. Things do get better. Things do get better. So this combination of the T100 LT and the TVP 50/51 with its great accuracy, great burst, and its relatively good mobility to follow up the light tank is just about perfect actually for this mission. It's probably one of the better combos out there. If you rely on a big heavy TD and a passive scouting scout, then you're probably going to have to also rely on the enemy team walking into your shots. If you use this, you can both let the enemy team walk into your shots and go create your shots at the same time. You can see that Tears is going up into the middle there, and all of a sudden, boom, we find him. There he is. Look for a little track. Look how fast this thing fires. The second one tracks the guy, and he just drops all kinds of damage, but doesn't end up killing him. What did we roll? A 265, a 379, a 315, and a 360. That 265 was a killer. What's the 320, right? Yeah, 320 right there. So 2 high rolls, 1 relatively low roll, and 1 very low roll. So came close, didn't quite get him. He's on a reload, and now we're going to use that mobility to start moving around. He's going to come in here and look like he's going to follow up. There's that Canonin, our buddy. What's his Coat Snaker? Is that his name? Coat Snaker? I guess so. Coat Snaker. All right. Coat Snaker? I don't know. Anyway, it's a Canonin. Looks like then we're going to come in here. There may have been discussion. Probably would have been a good one to say, hey, let's just go in here and take out this Centurion because he's sort of causing us issues and we're not able to move around anymore. He's also probably looking for shots on the T-30. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Doesn't quite have a good shot, though. Nicely done. Right in the back of the turret. Another one as he turns. Once the turret goes forwards to him, he's going to have a hard time. Definitely going to have a hard time pinning that. The Canonin goes in there and takes one for the team. Gets rid of the Centurion, and that does open up options for them here. This is the point where the T100, does he actually snipe this guy's turret from this range? Look at this. Holy cow. 1, 2. I guess RNG gave it back to him right there. Might have had a better angle if you'd have moved forward a little bit closer to the ship right there, but as it was, they get rid of him. The Canonin is the one who puts the kill shot. Now the benefactor of all the spotting for damage anyway is going to obviously be 18. That's why this guy gets by here, because 18 is not quite reloaded. Oh, that's such a bummer. Waits for the T100 to figure this out. Probably doesn't want to break cover. That's a good idea. There are still a lot of guns in the game. This little sequence, the Scorpion G goes down without 18's help. And once he's dead, off he goes, following up the T-100. Looks like he's going to move in towards the city a little bit. I do like that the gameplay between these two seem to be... There you go. Seem to be more about winning necessarily than just doing the mission. I thought that was really great. Notice he took 2 shots, forced to reload, and he's right on task. He's looking to be reloaded by the time he follows up here. He's got a little herky-jerky on the reload. I don't know if that's my reload doing or my replay doing that, or that's actually his gameplay. I like this because he's expecting maybe somebody to be up there. If we pause it and we count noses, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tanks showing. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 1 tank missing. Is it the Conway? What is it? The JT? No, the JT's in city. Conway's in the city. Hard to tell. Was it RHM? I'm not sure which one's missing. One of them, the 416? No, 416 is seen. Scorpion G. All right, so there's a Scorpion G that has not been spotted. That's right, that'll be the one that they find over there on the west side. So here comes 18 following up. He does have a little herky-jerky on his replay. Looks like he's got some packet loss going on right there. Oh, 416 gets away. Or maybe not. Nope. He does not get away. Takes a shot, forces a reload. Why? Because he has travel to do, and he knows by the time he gets there, that's when he'll be reloaded with all 4 shots. Really nice clip management here by 18. That's exactly what you want to do, although he might have had a shot or 2 on the Conway there. Sees the Conqueror, probably not going to get those hit points. I think he might have had shots on the Conway crossing the open, but he's going to support his T-100 here. Might have been the only point in this game where I saw you kind of doing something that was not necessarily team related. And here goes the poor Scorpion. He's going to eat 4 shots. 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. Nicely done. There you go. 4,153 damage. Forced to reload because he fired all his shells. Post up here behind a rock. There's still a lot of good enemy guns in the game, so he goes ahead and defends himself there. A little bit far away at this point from Tears, but of course we're a little more defensive now, so it looks like... Oh, did he get the shot? No, T10 just barely sneaks away. Tears took that look, and now he's going to flow back this way, I believe. There's the 55-58. He's followed up with his tank, so he's at least got a little bit of protection over there. The other nice thing about him being on that flank is he may spot somebody coming at him from that way, but now he's moving up. It's probably a good idea. Taking a bit of a chance trying to get up top, but he sort of has to do that. Wouldn't want to really sit down there in the open. Someone jumps on cap over there, but doesn't stay on it. 18 wisely decides not to go on their cap. No sense letting him know somebody's over there. Now he's going to follow up with Tears. And this is where Tears looks out into the field and doesn't really see anything. Takes a look. Tears is following up just in case he gets a light. So he can shoot at anything out there in the flats. This is nice positioning right here. Might have just pulled into that bush. But it looks like he's going for the high ground there. Then the RHM is seen. And they're both kind of out of position. And 18 spins around and says, you know what, dude? They're over there. Looks like Tears pushes into the bushes. A little support there. Why not? Just in case one shows up. 55-58 is about dead. Good news is there's no enemy artillery. And now they're both flowing back over. Meta flexing over to find... At least the RHM and the Leopard have proven that they're over there, so if the enemy team is working together, they should all be more or less together. Nope, got spotted, so there is somebody over there. That probably was not the Leopard that saw him. There, yep, there's somebody down there, the RHM. Down the bottom, oh, a bounce off the Leopard, 2 shots. It's a little bit out of position. This is probably about the worst positioning that they had, although they were in the middle of reacting to all. But it looked like Tiers got a little bit outside of where or a little bit forward of where he probably wanted to be based on where Tiers was. They take a few hit points, but they end up losing the Kanonen. I might have just gone to that bush. Maybe he's worried about somebody being in the corner. That's possible, but you've got a lot of hit points. Taking out the T10 was important. There's the RHM. Oh, nicely done. Oh, I did not realize that those shots were that RNG-y. Nicely done. Again, no gold being fired yet by 18. Reloading was the last 4. It's always nice when you force reloads, but your last clip ends up being a full clip. That's always nice when that just happens to work out. 200 comes up and over, and just continuing with the teamwork. Down he goes. We'll just speed this up because we know what happens here. It takes a while. He heads up there. 18 follows. Comes up behind him here. Looking for that guy sitting on the promontory. Tiers does not see anything. 18 follows. Nice leapfrog from cover to cover. Now he's in position right here. And just waiting for the T100 to find this guy. They still have the 55-58. Conway hasn't been seen for a long time. Of course, we know they find him up here, and the Leopard is in the same general area as well. Leopard's on the other side of that hill. Doesn't have a shot. There's that chunk taken out of the Conway. You notice Tiers comes up and over. He's waiting in case he backs up, but he does not. And then all of a sudden, hello, Mr. Leopard. There he is. Oh, man, if he had gone forward a little bit. Looks like he walked into you, though. Oh, and the last one misses. And what's he going to do? Is he going to reload? Yes, he forces a reload and goes to gold. That's important because sometimes when you've got less than a full clip and you don't notice it, you'll spend the whole time reloading 2 or 3 shells or 1 shell instead of the whole thing. He eats that shot, but he's got it to give. Fixes his gunner. Fixes his gunner on the move. Leopard dies, lights on fire, and dies. So good stuff, man. Thanks for sending that in, Tiers. It was great to see it from both sides, the teamwork thing. Getting what is a pretty difficult mission done that a lot of people struggle with. There, 4,500 isn't a whole bunch. The last one's quite a bit more. But nicely done, guys. I do appreciate it. Like I said at the beginning of this, if you want to support the channel, the details are down in the description there. Great stuff. You could watch this probably 2 or 3, 4 times and pick up something new each time, watching good players play the game. And it's that middle to end game that turns that 20 to 40% of the games that you have a large impact on. That's the difference between 55 and 49% win rate. Really, it's the difference between 45 and 60%, but there's obviously some other skill nuances at the higher. But just being able to make decent decisions late game, to clean up close games, and to pull back games that were going slightly south. You've got a slightly losing situation like they had, and bringing it back. That is all due to decision making and maneuvering mid to late game. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. We will see you.